Course in past 13.
Now 3G, this morning, to continue with our work on option choice, we're going to have a look at the ways in which we make decisions.
Everyone approaches option choice differently. This programme tries to pick out points of common interest and to help you clarify your thoughts at this important time in your child's life.
You go into the canteen, it's lunchtime, and on the menu you are presented with those three things. As a part of their social and personal education course, the third years undertake a module on option choice. This includes decision making, self-assessment, making the best use of information and resources. We stress the need for a balanced choice, for flexibility, that is, keeping as many options open as possible. And lastly, we like to emphasise the need for forward planning in order to get a good base for A-level study. And situation 4, your father decides to buy a new stereo system. He can't decide whether to buy a Bang & Olufsen, a Sony or a Dynatron. Which one would you recommend him to buy? Now let's go right back to situation 1. Would anybody like to tell us, please, what he or she chose in this particular situation? Yes, Rita?
I chose sausage roll salad.
Would you like to tell us why you chose sausage roll salad?
Well, I'm a vegetarian and we know that in the canteen the sausage roll is made of soy meat, so I choose that. And also you can leave the sausage roll and just eat the salad.
Now, who can tell me which method of decision making has Rita used to come to that decision? Graham?
Personal preference.
Yes, that's exactly right. She's used personal preference. Now I want somebody else to share their choice with us. Who chose liver and onions? You did, Andrew. Right, will you tell me please why you chose liver and onions?
I don't like shepherd's pie or sausage roll salad.
Now, Andrew hasn't used the same method of making a choice as Rita. What method do we call that Andrew's used? Catherine?
Process of elimination.
Process?
Of elimination.
Yes. Now, can you tell us what you mean by that?
It's when you knock out the ones that you don't like and you're left with the one that you prefer out of the others for choice.
That's exactly right. Good. Now 3G, let's have a look at situation 4. I felt that your reaction was quite different from your reaction to the other 3. Alison, how did making this decision differ from making the other 3?
Well, I've never heard of the Bang & Olufsen and the Dynatron, so I just wrote down the Sony because I didn't know about the other 2.
Right, now does that mean then that you've made the best choice?
No.
No, it doesn't, does it? What would you have appreciated really, Alison, before you made this last decision?
Some more information on the other 2 and to see them. I know what they were like.
Yes. Out of the 4 situations we've been having a look at, which of them do you think most closely resembles making your option choice?
Number 4.
Number 4, yes. All the other things we've talked about, process of elimination, choosing from past experience, personal preference and so on, none of them really is going to work very well, is it? Each pupil is interviewed individually, either by myself or a member of the pastoral staff. The parents are able to make appointments with teachers at the parents' evenings, but in fact many of them choose to make an appointment to come into school during the day to see me, and we have an in-depth discussion about their child's choice.
Paul's parents did just that. His choice was worrying them, and they had to decide whether to intervene.
I'm doing maths, English, literature and English language, biology, chemistry and physics, and geography and tech drawing subject.
Paul had made his mind up that he wanted to take the science subjects. And because he had had bad experience taking French, and it would not be, he wanted to drop the subject, we felt that the best thing to do was to go and see the careers teacher at school and discuss this with them.
And we didn't want him to limit his choice of jobs when he came to leave school, or if he wanted to take A-levels at all. And we felt that we didn't want to restrict him now because he's absolutely no idea what he wants to do.
We wanted to discuss it with somebody, and we needed help in making the right decision. And in actual fact, her advice really did help us to make up our minds that this was the correct thing that was being done.
If it's possible for option choice to matter even more now than in the past, the new GCSE exam is the cause, with the importance it gives to continuous assessment.
The two main changes in the new system involve the introduction of a coursework component into all examinations in the system. Teachers will be expected to submit to examination boards the kind of coursework they think should be included in the examination. The average percentage of work which will count for marks in the examination will be between 20 and 30%, although of course more is possible, but a minimum of something over 20% is required. This, of course, is designed to enable teachers to help the pupils display those things which in the past they've not been able to display when they've been sitting a timed written examination one particular day in June. The greatest change, I think, in the new system of examinations will come about because of the existence of national criteria. These have been produced over the last 3 or 4 years by consortia, working parties from all the examining groups in the country who were faced with the problem in a number of subjects, about 20 subjects, designed to cover the majority of the curriculum. We hope that the delineation of the work expected for certain grade standards will give pupils an opportunity to realize that it really is rather a move towards, if you like, swimming across the swimming pool. If you can get to the other side, then you have won. If you can get a whole length, then you've done better. But that's quite different from saying get to the other side before everybody else does, or swim forever, or as long as you can, and only those who come out in the top 100 out of the 150 will be allowed to pass. It's not a complete move, but it's a move and a step in the right direction.
Whatever exam system we have, the timetable has to make it work. It's a complicated job.
Right, now what we've got to do today, early in the morning, is get in some of these horrible dance, drama, music and gym. And I can already see we've got a Tuesday afternoon there, and have we got a drama teacher free?
There's no drama teacher.
When have we got a drama teacher free?
Wednesday afternoon.
Wednesday, well, I've got a musician free. When else have we got a drama teacher free?
Thursday 1 and 2.
Thursday 1 and 2. I'm going to work on Thursday 1 and 2 here because I've got the dining hall available, and except I have an English lesson sitting period 1. Now that's Tonya Castellanides. Can she possibly teach them anywhere, and it'll have to be a Friday?
1 and 2 Friday, 5 and 6 Friday.
Tonya down to period 1 Friday. Right, now let's work on 1G and 1H having music and drama, period 1 on a Thursday.
Right.
Okay, there's your tiles. Let's put mine in. Fine. Right, now we're going to work on period 2. In a way, when I timetable, the options blocked right across the timetable are my biggest constraint. But in my case, all I can say is that I made them up. I do it by asking the children what they actually want to do, and then measuring, with the help of a computer, what they want to do with what is possible to do. It's really a means of matching demand in terms of subjects the children want and the teachers want to teach to the constraints of space and available resources. You've always got to ensure that the right children are in the right place at the right time and the right member of staff is in front of them. You also, in terms of the children, have to look at the spread of the activities in a day. It's not a good idea to give them all sitting at a desk academic subjects all day, although we have fewer and fewer subjects which are exactly like that, but you try to spread your practical activities, the physical education, the home economics, textiles, art, through the week, so that they have a taste of different sorts of activities in a day.
Practical and creative subjects can be enjoyable, demanding, useful, and of lifelong interest, and yet they're often dropped after the third year. What a pity. What a lost chance to achieve a very personal sense of satisfaction. The kind of success which many pupils can achieve in creative or practical subjects matters a great deal to the head of careers at this school, Bill Greenshields.
Well, clearly schools operate as part of a wider environment, and we have to look at the whole society that we are educating the kids to enter. And the fact is that these days, I think with the employment situation being the way it is, and with other social situations being the way they are, that increasingly young people feel rejected and feel that they're not successes, that they can't make a contribution. So I think when they're looking at their option choices, that we ought to be looking at redefining the notion of success. Schools have been viewed as an academic factory for too long, that we just produce examination results, and obviously that's part of our job. But I think we ought to encourage the young people at 13 to think about what areas they are successful in, where their skills lie, where their particular strengths are. There is a problem, of course, that when young people begin to understand their own strengths and what they're capable of giving to society, as well as what they're capable of taking from it, that if they leave school and can't put that into practice because of unemployment, youth unemployment or whatever, they can become very angry and very disillusioned. But on the other hand, what we don't want to do is to have them feel rejected and demoralised by the fact that they feel that they can't offer anything. I'd rather have young people angry than demoralised.
Whatever the employment situation, option choice is linked to jobs. This firm gets a great many applications from school leavers.
Well, there are various elements we look at when we take on young people. I always use the analogy, it's like making a jigsaw puzzle, that there's a variety of pieces that have got to fit together to give us a whole picture. We look at the skills that the young person is likely to achieve, their qualifications, their attitude to work, their relationship with other people, both their peer group and senior people within the school. We look at their personality, their approach, whether they're adaptable in their manner and their attitude. Some jobs will demand a specific qualification range so that the individual can perform that particular task or range of tasks. So some people will have to have specific qualifications, but also how they actually work to achieve those qualifications. Now, some people may well pass exams very easily and coast through, whereas some will find taking exams rather difficult, but actually work to achieve those. And I'd rather see the latter than the former.
Work experience is generally very useful experience, particularly if the work is linked to your child's ideas for the future, and thus to the options they've chosen.
Thank you.
Well, there are a number of benefits to pupils coming into a company like ours on work experience. Firstly, they do experience a much longer day. They have to start earlier in the morning and finish later. They see a number of adults in a working environment. They see them carrying out a variety of jobs where they haven't had the opportunity to see before. They also experience jobs which they may like to do or may not like to do when they come to choose a career.
Not like school, having to sit down all the time, you wandering around meeting new people all the time. I was a bit nervous and that, but everyone was so friendly and that, I was soon fitted in. It's been really good, and now I know what goes on behind the doors really. I've got to get used to work really, and I just think this has helped me get used to the kind of life I'll be leading once I've left school next year. I'll most probably try and get a job straight after school, like next June. get a job straight then. It might be a bit difficult, but as long as I try, that's it.
When you're in the third year, because you're so young, you think to yourself, well, I've got a chance of getting a job, I've got another 2 years yet, but those 2 years have passed really quick. You come to the fifth year, do your exams, you're in the last few weeks, and you're really panicking, thinking what's going to happen if I end up on the dole and all that.
I think unemployment's a thing that you think will happen to somebody else and not you. It's one of them things that you say, it won't happen to me. You always think that there's jobs there and that you're going to get them.
When it's yourself, you don't really think that you're not going to get a job. You think you are most of the time. And don't really worry about it. I didn't really worry about it anyway.
You don't know what you're going to do at that age. You can't determine what you're going to do at, 13, 14, so... I didn't know, really.
Option choice time can be difficult for young teenagers. So finally, some pointers for parents.
During the many years in which I've been involved in this particular aspect of education, there are 2 matters which give me cause for concern. The first one is when pupils are good at a subject, they need it, but they don't particularly like it. And unfortunately, the parents won't encourage them to take it. 2 years later, the parents are then saying, if only. The other cause for concern is even more serious, I feel. This is the low aspiration of girls. I'm talking particularly about the academically able. I see girls who talk about being a nurse, a secretary, an air hostess. Boys of a similar level of ability want to be doctors, accountants, pilots. I realise that this isn't a local problem, it is a serious national problem. At the age of 13 plus, these girls, by their choice, are opting out of many careers, particularly those involving the new technology. They're opting out of higher education, and they're opting out of the more highly paid jobs and professions.
A head teacher and some parents who've been through it all have their views too.
Well, an ideal parent at option time is, first of all, the ideal parent is in contact with the school. The ideal parent comes into school. About half don't. The next thing is that an ideal parent preferably comes in pairs.
We feel that it's very important that you do use the schools and all the schools' facilities, and we feel it is a combined effort between ourselves, our children, and the school to make the decision. It's not something which you should take just on your own.
Another equally important point is this one. Education is for life, not merely for employment. Many of the things we do in school can only be seen as important if you realise that we're educating the whole person for a whole life rather than merely for a job.
Well, I think you've got to realise that the relationship that you have with the school doesn't just begin in that particular year when they're making the course choice. I think it's got to be a relationship which is built up over the years, right from the first day that the child starts in the school.
2 last points. Teachers are professionals and you should trust them. Teachers are not going to present parents with choices that could ruin a child's life. Parents mustn't be over-anxious, they mustn't lose sleep about it, they mustn't get neurotic. And the final point is, an ideal parent doesn't start talking to a school in the 3rd year. The ideal parent already knows the school because they've been relating to the school for the 2 years that come before this agonising period of 3rd year choice.
I think the child must really have the final say, unless it's a terrible choice he's making. I think when all's said and done, he's the one that's got to do the subject, and if he doesn't want to do it, he won't.